Hello there PokeMoshPit, how is it going? My name's Tommy and today I'm bringing you a match against Arsena. And you probably know him from PokeMoshPit and PokeMoshPit Beta already, and I think he's uploading his side of the battle too, so keep an eye out for that. But he's a good guy, he makes some good teams and he definitely knows what he's doing. So whenever we battle it's usually an interesting one, so hope you enjoy. Now looking at his team, the main threats are going to be most likely Electabuzz because it outspeeds all of my team and, to be honest, most of NU. Emboar if it's a Choice Scarfer, which I see a few times. Electabuzz is more commonly the Choice Scarf Pokemon, but I wouldn't put it past someone to run two Choice Scarfers, so gotta keep an eye out for that. Now Golok here, I didn't feel like Golok would be a pretty big threat just because I have my Shedinja, and on the first turn I figure he might lead with this to go for Stealth Rocks or whatever. And I really didn't want to lead with Wormadam just in case he led off with Emboar predicting that. So I figure, okay, whatever happens, I have the Focus Sash. Go for Shadow Claw followed by the Sucker Punch and that takes out the Golok, which is great. Now in comes the Emboar. I kind of go to Wormadam here, even though it might look like a really stupid play. I felt like he wouldn't go for the Fire-type move just because I do have the Flareon around, which could potentially be carrying the Flash Fire. Now, this crit here did kind of matter. Had he not got the crit, it would have been down to sort of mind games. At that point, I would have gone for Protect there and see if he changed up moves. And if he did, he'd obviously be Expert Belt. If he didn't, he'd be Choiced, most likely. But because he did get that crit, he has no reason to switch up moves. He can go for it again. And even if he's not Choiced, he can at least bluff that at this point. And I really can't take the chance, so I go into Mr. Mime just thinking, okay, he's probably Choice Scarf, but I can maybe take a Stone Edge or he'll miss, and then just go for a Psychic from there. Now in comes Mantine, the ridiculously bulky Special Wall in NU, which is definitely underrated in my opinion. Go for a sub and he goes for Toxic. That is absolutely brilliant, my friends. Why? I'll tell you why, because my Fargus here has the Copycat. Copycat Mr. Mime is definitely a force to be reckoned with. Lol JK, but it is pretty fun. Go for a Copycat and take the Toxic, retaliate back, and that is of course going to be very detrimental to a Special Wall. I don't know if he has Rest or not because I tend to see some Mantines carry Rest, but often it's just kind of Toxic, Scald, Ice Beam, and then like Hidden Power, Electric or something maybe. I don't really know, but a lot of Mantines do tend to carry Rest, and it would just be a case of seeing whether or not he does have it. So I go into Shedinja here to take a Scald because obviously Wonder Guard, you know the drill. Now I'm going to switch out and go into my Flareon because I figure, okay, the only way he can take down Shedinja is if he goes for Toxic. However, my Flareon has Gut, so it really doesn't mind the Toxic, and, you know, if anything, I'm now in a position where I don't have to take a Scald as I come in, and then I can go for either Facade predicting the switch, or, sorry, Facade predicting him to stay in, or Flame Charge predicting the switch. Now here I did predict the switch, and it turns out next turn he just goes for a Rest, which is fine, you know, heal off the poison, whatever. He probably didn't feel like Flareon could do too much to Mantine anyway, which, I don't know, I guess is a reasonable assumption. Flareon not really known for being an offensive powerhouse, even though it does have the pretty beastly 130, is it? Or 110 attack stat. Plus the Guts. I guess the only real downside is there's no real access to decent Fire-type moves. Flame Charge is great, it's good for utility purposes, but if you want to hit hard, all you've really got is Facade and Superpower. And Superpower is not really ideal if you're going for a sweep. Now in comes the Electabuzz. I kind of figure I will go for another Flame Charge here just to hopefully outspeed all of his team. I was kind of hoping he'd go for Volt Switch because obviously that would have done a lot less and I would have been in a much better position. But now I figure, okay, I'm at +2, even if Electabuzz is Scarfed, I can maybe still outspeed. But alas, doesn't happen. But the bright side is, at least I do definitely confirm that he is Choice Scarfed. So now I can bring in my Shedinja, and this play here, I would question my own play here because I go for Swords Dance, knowing he still has the Emboar around. Don't ever do that. Bad idea. I should have definitely gone straight for the Shadow Claw. But now I kind of think I may as well try and get Sun use out of Shedinja, so I go for a Sucker Punch. Does a tiny amount of damage. Not tiny, you know, it's of some significance, I guess. 25%. that comes into play a little bit later, but... Yep, I go into my Tentacle, still thinking he's Choice because it seems that most Emboars I run into nowadays are Choice Scarfed. So I go for Knockoff on whatever comes in. Now in comes the Glaceon. I don't know why he brought in Glaceon specifically, because any kind of Glaceon can't really do too much to Tentacle. Now it turns out, I think he mishaved his Glaceon and it was supposed to have Hidden Power Ground or Electric maybe. But it turns out it's Grass or something, so I don't know if it would have made too much difference, but either way, Tentacle doesn't really take too much damage from whatever attacks Glaceon goes for, so he does have Fear to Poison, that's fine. Now next turn, I'm pretty sure he brings back in Electabuzz because it can easily Volt Switch, threaten me out, whatever. So I figure, knowing that he's Choice Scarfed and Shiftry, yeah, can probably take a T-Bolt reasonably well. From here, I can take a T-Bolt, go in here, you know, and obviously threaten him out with Sucker Punch or whatever. But my friends, I will not go for Sucker Punch because I am a special variant of Shiftry, which I kind of regret bringing because if I had my physical variant, I could have gone for Nature Power here, which would have decimated the Emboar, but you know, that's what happens. Sometimes you bring a special one, sometimes you bring a physical one. Who knows, it's Shiftry. He's a pretty versatile guy. Now the Dark Pulse does do a respectable amount of damage considering it's resisted. But now I go back into Tentacle. I assume he predicts this because he does go for the Thunder Punch, but I was basically sacking Tentacle to whatever at that point. So Tentacle goes down. That's fine. Now I can bring in Mr. Mime again. Still believing I can take a Thunder Punch. If he's Scarfed, I possibly can. But now he brings in the Tangler. Don't know exactly why I brought in the Tangler, but it's definitely not going to appreciate taking a couple of Psychics. Now Tangler, for anyone who's played NU, you've definitely come across Tangler at some point. Tangler is one of the hardest things to take down on the physical side. Like, it walls, you know, Emboar, Sork, okay, maybe not so much Emboar, Sork, or what else? Braviary. I've seen it wall a Braviary occasionally. Like, it can take hits for days, put it that way. In any case, in comes the Electabuzz. I know I can take a T-Bolt, except a crit, which I reckon mattered, but at the end of the day, hacks happens, and Mr. Mime has pretty low HP anyway, so who knows. So bring back in Shiftry, go for a Sucker Punch, and that is going to take him out. Incidentally, I have Sucker Punch just because I couldn't think of a better move to give it in its last slot, so I thought, yep, why not Sucker Punch? And here is the crucial moment. This cheeky boy Arsena has been bluffing the Choice Scarf all this game, and it turns out he's actually Expert Belt, or maybe he's Banded. Although it didn't look like Banded damage, so I'm going to guess Expert Belt. But in any case, he takes out my Shiftry. I almost take him out with the Dark Pulse, but not quite. But yeah, that was the end of the game, so good game, Arsena. Really enjoyable match, and that Emboar really did have me going. Otherwise, I could have probably dealt with it a lot earlier on, but yeah, if you guys enjoy this sort of stuff, come check out my channel, which is in the video description. And with that being said, I will see you all next time. Goodbye.